CNT125, we're working on our troubleshooting module. We're now on to layer 3. So what's all included at layer 3? Well, we're now thinking anything IP related. Anything IP related, any configuration or, the interface configuration, subnet mask, any DHCP configuration we might be doing to hand out to workstations, and maybe even any NAT configuration that's going on. Anything along those realms are the kind of things we're thinking about. And it's really going to depend on the device, on what we're doing, but we are thinking IP addresses on interfaces, subnet masks, DHCP config, and any sort of NAT config that's going on. That's the kind of stuff we're thinking. So PCs, we're going to be doing a lot of IP config. What IP address does it have? Looking at the IP, subnet mask gateway, DNS, making sure all that stuff is right, and doing things like pinging known nodes or things like gateways. Can I actually ping the gateway? And I might even be running traces and seeing where it's potentially failing. We're going to be doing a ton of that to check connectivity. And I might be even doing release renews if I have DHCP, and I'm going to be looking to make sure I don't see a 169.254. Remember, if we're set for DHCP and we're not communicating with the DHCP server, our computer self-assigns 169.254. So that is a great big clue that we don't have communication with the DHCP server. On my router's firewalls, again, we're doing things like pings, pinging known locations, tracing, looking for maybe where it fails, doing show IP routes if I have routing protocol configuration. Do we have a whole routing table? I'm also looking at the configuration against my map or known configuration. I'm looking at IP address, subnet mask gateway, all of those things. And I'm even checking my access list for permits, denies, that sort of stuff. And if I'm really having issues, especially in our lab room, take the access list off, get everything functioning, and then put it back. If something does not function correctly now, you know it's the access list that's not working correctly. Okay, that's the kind of stuff we're thinking about at layer 3. So let's jump back into our packet tracer file. We have blinking link lights everywhere, so we know layer 0, 1, and 2 should be correct. But I might not have full connectivity yet. So I might try some things to know, is it functioning? So I might open up my PC here and actually go to a desktop, and I might even try to browse to one of the web servers over there. Okay. Or, if you're in the lab room, you're going to browse to like Google or something like that. So my known web server over here there's a CNT.org. Okay. CNT.org. That's going to be my test site that I'm going to use. So www.cnt.org. I'm going to use the speed up button here on time. Let me slide that over that way and do that just so we don't have to wait for it to time out or anything like that. It's not resolving, so we're not getting there. So the next thing I might do is I might move to the OK. Can I even ping the gateway? But I might even do the whole IP config and go, what are we getting? And I'm getting a 192.168.64.101. Subnet mask looks like it should be right. 64.1, okay. That looks like it should be right. I'm going to try to ping 192.168.64.1. And I do get that. Okay, so that's promising because that lets me know the communication from here up through the phone, through the switch to the router is functioning. So all of this down here should be correct. And I would do the same thing for like my laptop over here. Again, do an IP config, make sure it's getting information here, 192.168, 192.101, 192.0, 192.168, 129.1. That doesn't look right. So it looks like we might have a default gateway issue. But, it's one of those, okay, I would try it. I would try the whole, okay, 192, 168, 129.1 does not look right, but I would try it just by chance. Yeah, okay, we're not getting any results there. Okay, so it looks like we have a bad default gateway. So I might do the whole IP config, release, and then renew, and see if it keeps picking up the same one. If it keeps picking up the same one, then I know I might have some configuration issue over on the router, and it looks like I do. I have a 129 there. That does not look right. So I know I need to check that. Let's look at our phones while we're here. I'm going to look at my phone. If I look in the front, it looks like it's still trying to register. Looks like it's still trying to register with the router. We'll check the other phone here. Looks like it's still trying to register. That should not be. So it looks like the phones are not communicating with the router, the phone configuration on the router. So it looks like I need to start checking some config. Well, let's start easy. Let's check this switch first. And I'm going to put this off to the side just a little bit here. So Cisco, enable, class, and I should be again seeing ports 1 to 20 has the PC and voice over IP VLAN stacked on top of each other. So I should be seeing that. And I see access VLAN 10, that's the data. Voice VLAN 20, that's the voice. Okay, that's good. That's correct. Okay, coming down through here, I see trunking on 24. That's good. IP address 192.168.0.1. That doesn't look right, because most likely the router is 0.1. And if I actually hold the pointer over my router here, I can see next to fast Ethernet 0/0.1, 192.168.0.1. Ooh, yeah. It looks like the switch and the router were conflicting. Earlier on in the lab, we saw that duplicate IP message, and I said, ooh, we're going to look for that. Yeah, we're going to fix that right now, because that's definitely not helping anything. So we're going to say interface VLAN 1. We're going to say IP address, and we can just write over what's there. 192.168.0.2. The router being 0.1, the switch should be 0.2. And then we'll plug in the subnet mask, 255.192.0. Okay, and we'll do an exit. We're going to do a show run and make sure that looks right now. Okay, good. So we had a conflict there. We're definitely getting rid of that. So we'll do a copy run start. And I don't see anything else really necessary we need to do here. So we have that saved. I'll close that out. I'm going to save my packet tracer file there. Good. So I think we're in good shape here. Let's move up to the router. We know we did see at least a default gateway that was wrong on the wireless network. So enable class. Let's do a show run. So let's look at the DHCP configs. So right here, let me do a couple enters. I'm going to try to, there we go. Okay. Excluded addresses. So we have, it looks like we have the 64, 128, and 192 subnets. Good. So we're holding back 64.1 to 64.100, 128.1 to 128.100, 192.1 to 192.100. Good. I'm making sure those numbers make sense and they're not jumping subnets or anything weird like that. So that looks like they're holding back the proper IPs. And I was getting, if I look down here, my PCs were getting IPs. 64.101. My laptop was getting 129.1. Okay, so actually no, 192.101. There we go, 192.101. So they're getting IPs, which is good. So if I look here, here's my PC, 192.168.0.40. Subnet mask looks good. Gateway 64.1 looks good. DNS server, okay, on my network, DNS is up here. It is 10.10.10.2. Okay, so I'm making sure that looks all right as well. Where'd my window go? There he is, right there. So that looks good too. Looking at the Wi-Fi, 192.168.192.168.192.0, good. Default router, yeah, that's not right. That should be the 192.1 because that should be the router. So let's fix that right now. And that'll hopefully help the wireless people. So we need IP, DHCP pool, and we need to use the exact same name that's here, Wi-Fi. And we're going to say default router 192.168.192.1. So it looks like that was a little oops typo as it was being plugged in. We'll do exit, and I'm going to go right back to show run and make sure that looks right. So there's the Wi-Fi, 192.0 network, 192.1 for gateway, DNS server 10.10.10.2. So since I fixed that, I would go here to my wireless device and I would just do a release renew and go, okay, does this help anything? We'll do release, oops, keep going, and turn right around and do a renew. And we'll look at what we get here. 192.101 and oops, I'm looking at the old one right there. Here we go. Here's the new one. 192.101 and 192.1. Yeah, there we go. Gateway looks okay. So since I made a change there, I would do the whole ping of 192, 168, 192.1. Oh, and I'm getting that. So now I have all my workstations talking to the router. So if I do a browse again on this one, I was not successful on the desktop over there. But if I try it on the laptop, let's see if we get successful there. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. www.cnt.org. And again, I'm going to use the time speed up over here. And it looks like, ooh, come on, you can do it. Yeah, hostname unresolved. So we're talking to the router. Both the desktop and the laptop are talking to the router, but they're not getting through. Okay, so that's leading me to believe we have some sort of NAT issue. So we're going to keep looking on our config here to see if there's anything out of line on the interface configs or NAT config. So we fixed up some DHCP, and actually I didn't look at the voice over IP yet. We're mentally noting we need to do some NAT config checking, but I also want to check the IP phone, because the phones were not getting their config. 192, 168, 128.0, 128.1, DNS looks good, but I don't see the option 150. The option 150 is so that the phones know how to get their config. So IP, DHCP pool, we need voice over IP. Again, we're using the exact same name that's here. And we need the option 150 IP. And we're plugging in the IP address of this, of the voice sub interface here on the router. So let me see if I can hold my pointer over here. If I look under the VLAN 20, it's 128.1. The VLAN 20, 128.1. So I need to have this point to 192, 168, 128.1. That is the address for the phone configuration. So now, if I look here, I should see the option 150 under there pointing to that 121 IP. Good. So I might now look at my phones to go, okay, what are they doing now? Are they registering? If they're not, maybe give them time, or maybe I just unplug and reboot. So if I go to the physical side here, unplug that, plug it back in to force a reboot, and do the same thing on the other phone. And we'll give them a few minutes to do their thing. Unplug, plug in. Okay. And I might even do the speed up button here a couple times to see, and actually my console on the router is showing me the phones have registered. So if I look at them now, if I look at the front of them now, they have they have their phone number and everything. Yeah, cool beans. So it looks like with that DHCP config, we fixed the phone issue because they were not registering before. All right. I need to keep going because I still have a NAT issue. These workstations are not getting through over to the web server. So as I look here, VLAN 1, I'm going to go down through these and check systematically. Subinterface 1, .1Q1, that's your frame tagging for VLAN 1. IP looks good, subnet mask looks good, so VLAN 10, .1Q10, here's 64.1. And my subnet mask here looks good. I see an access list being applied. If we're troubleshooting, we're going to keep that in mind, or we might take it off and then put it back on once we've gotten everything working. So far looking okay there. VLAN 20, WQ20, 128.1, 192.0, IPNet inside, IPNet's inside. Okay, looking good. 30, 30, 192, 160, 192.1. Access group 130 in, okay. We need to keep that in mind. We might need to take that off to troubleshoot. IPNet inside, good. We're doing good so far. Outside interface, IP address, DHCP, but I don't see IPNet outside. So I'm going to fix that right now. That is something I need. We need interface, fast Ethernet 0/1, IPNet outside. Let's do exit, exit. We're going to do a show run, and I'm going to look at that interface now, and I see IPNet outside. Good. Okay, good. We're running tight on this podcast. I'm going to come back on the next one. We're going to continue through layer 3 and try to get a bunch of this functioning yet.